back then could have predicted that 14 years later the SNP would be re-elected for a fourth consecutive term as Scotland's government. And absolutely no one would have predicted the scale and the record-breaking nature of our victory at this election. Now, we don't yet have confirmation of the final result, but we do know that on a record turnout, the SNP has won 62 constituency seats, or on course to do that. That is a higher number than ever before, and it would be an incredible 85% of the total. And we haven't just held every constituency seat that we won back in 2016. We've also gained seats from both Labour and the Tories and recorded our best ever share of the constituency vote. Indeed, we have won more votes and a higher share of the votes in the constituency ballot than any party in the history of devolution. This election result is, by any standard, an extraordinary and historic achievement. We took our positive message of hope and recovery to every corner of our country, and it has been endorsed emphatically by the people of Scotland. My heartfelt thanks go to all of those in the SNP who worked so hard in such difficult circumstances to make all of this possible. I also send my warm congratulations to successful candidates from all political parties, and of course my commiserations to those who have lost out. I know from personal experience how tough that is. But most of all, I want to thank the people of Scotland for putting their trust in me and in the SNP once again. We will work to repay that trust every day. Over these past 14 years, the makeup of the Scottish electorate has changed. 16 and 17-year-olds can now vote, and seeing so many of our young people engaged and energised inspires real hope for the future. And in this election, for the very first time, foreign nationals and refugees were able to vote as well, a tangible symbol of the inclusive country that we are. On Thursday morning, in my own constituency, I met with Syrian refugees who had just cast their first votes here in Scotland. It was a deeply emotional moment for them, and as a country, that should make us really proud. So my message today really is for all of Scotland, and it is this one. Wherever you are from, whatever age you are, whatever your background, and no matter who you voted for, the SNP in government is dedicated to working for you. I pledge that the task of building a better Scotland for everyone who chooses to live here will be my priority every single day. As First Minister, of course, my immediate and overriding task will be to do everything I possibly can to keep us all as safe as possible. While we are making real and positive progress now, we have not yet beaten COVID. During this campaign, I said that tackling the pandemic must come first for as long as it takes, and I meant that. I will be returning to work straight away to take the decisions that will guide our next steps back to normality and on to recovery. In this election, the SNP put forward an ambitious and transformative programme to kickstart and drive our recovery from this pandemic. So we will now get on with the job of delivering that programme. That means the remobilisation of our NHS, coupled with the investment it needs to secure it for the future. A new national care service, investment to support new green jobs and re-skill people for the future, a youth guarantee to secure opportunities for our young people, action to tackle the climate emergency and ensure a just transition, more houses, better schools and an unwavering commitment to lifting children out of poverty. The policy programme we put before the people of Scotland will move our country forward and it will make it better. Of that, I have no doubt. But while we are understandably and rightly focused this weekend on our own election results here in Scotland, The results of the various contests south of the border reveal and underline an important truth about Scotland and the rest of the UK. The majority of people here in Scotland back a progressive, inclusive, outward-looking vision for the future of our nation. And yet we are facing many more years of right-wing, Brexit-obsessed Tory governments that we don't vote for, taking us in a direction that we have not chosen. That brings into very sharp focus a key question that was posed at this election. How do we best secure the kind of country we want to build? And just as we said in this election, it is why the people of Scotland must have the right to decide our own future when the COVID crisis has passed. This is now a matter of fundamental democratic principle. Already today I hear opposition parties and some commentators talking about what they call SNP demands for an independence referendum. They're desperately trying to rewrite the basic rules of democracy and redefine what constitutes an election win and a mandate. And of course I hear the usual talk of Boris Johnson refusing to give in to those demands and all the supposedly clever manoeuvres that Westminster might be planning. All of this risks treating voters in Scotland and our entire democratic process as if they simply don't matter, like they are just a sideshow. Voters are not a sideshow. It is you, not me, not Boris Johnson, not any politician, but you who are the people who matter. And so let us be clear about what Scotland voted for on Thursday. The people of Scotland have voted to give pro-independence parties a majority in the Scottish Parliament. Now, the final numbers may not yet be known, but it is beyond doubt that the pro-independence majority in our new Parliament will be larger than it was in the last one. Both the SNP and the Scottish Greens stood on a clear commitment to an independence referendum within the next parliamentary term. And both of us made clear that the timing of a referendum should be decided by a simple majority of MSPs in the Scottish Parliament. So in no way can a referendum be described as just a demand of me or of the SNP. It is a commitment made to the people by a clear majority of the MSPs who have been elected to our national Parliament. It is the will of the country. And given that outcome, there is simply no democratic justification whatsoever for Boris Johnson or indeed for anyone else seeking to block the right of the people of Scotland to choose our own future. And let me be very clear about this. If the Tories make such an attempt, they won't be placing themselves in opposition to the SNP. They will be standing in direct opposition to the will of the Scottish people. And they will demonstrate conclusively that the UK is not a partnership of equals, and astonishingly that Westminster no longer sees it as a voluntary union of nations. That in itself would be a most powerful argument for Scotland becoming an independent country. Of course, holding a referendum does not mean that Scotland will automatically become independent. That will be a choice for the people of Scotland. And the task for those of us who support independence is to make that case and to persuade our fellow citizens with patience and with honesty of its merits. That is what the SNP intends to do. So let me set out the task ahead for me and for your re-elected SNP government. First and foremost, it is to lead Scotland through the pandemic and to keep the people of this country as safe as possible. That will be my focus when I return to my desk tomorrow. It is then to kickstart and drive our recovery from COVID with that ambitious and transformative programme for government. And yes, when the crisis has passed, it is to give people in Scotland the right to choose our own future. All of that is what I promised in this election and all of that is what I intend to deliver. But first, it is time now for me to get back to work to lead this country through and out of the COVID crisis. Thank you so much for the trust you have once again placed in me. I promise to serve all of the people of Scotland with integrity, with energy, and with an unwavering commitment to building the better Scotland that we all know is possible. Thank you.